Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Environmental Planning Commission meeting of August 16th, 2023. I call the meeting to order. I believe it is 7 o'clock p.m. For those joining us in person, please note that due to our hybrid environment, audio and video presentations can no longer be shared from the lectern. Requests to show an audio or video presentation during a meeting should be directed to epc@mountainview.gov by 4:30 p.m. on the meeting date. Additionally, due to our hybrid environment, we will no longer have speakers line up to speak on an item. Anyone wishing to address the EPC in person must complete a yellow speaker card. Please indicate the name you would like to be called by when it is your turn to speak and the item number on which you wish to speak. Please complete one yellow speaker card for each item on which you wish to speak and turn them in to the EPC clerk as soon as possible, but no later than the call for public comment on the item you are speaking on. Instructions for addressing the commission virtually may be found on the posted agenda. Now, I will ask the EPC clerk to proceed with roll call. Please go ahead. Oh, I think your microphone might not be on.
All commissioners are here.
Thank you very much. On to agenda item 2, roll call, 3. The minutes, we have none this evening, so we will move on to oral communications, agenda item 4. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the EPC on any matter not on the agenda. Speakers are allowed to speak on any topic for up to 3 minutes during this section. State law prohibits the commission from acting on non-agenda items. If anyone in attendance would like to provide comments on non-agenda items, please fill out a yellow speaker card and provide it to the EPC clerk. If anyone on Zoom would like to provide comment on non-agenda items, please click the raise hand button in Zoom or press *9 on your phone. Phone users can mute and unmute themselves with *6. Do we have any cards?
No, we don't have any speakers who wish to speak. There's no one on Zoom either. So,
thank you very much. So we will move to agenda item 5, the public hearing. 5.1, our first, Firearms Regulation Ordinance Zoning Text Amendment. First, we'll have a staff presentation, then questions by the EPC, followed by public comment. At the closure of public comment, the commission will then deliberate and take action. The staff presentation will be given by Diana Fazeli, Assistant City Attorney. Please proceed.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioner. I'm Diana Fazeli with the City Attorney's Office, here tonight to present on item 5.1, the consideration of text amendments to Chapter 36 of the City Code to prohibit firearms and ammunition retailing as a home occupation. This item is part of a larger regulatory framework that is going forward as a separate ordinance to Council on September 12th, in which our office was directed by the City Council to create this framework, and specifically, City Council provided direction to preclude firearm dealers from operating within their homes as home occupations. The majority of the regulatory framework is contained in a separate ordinance that's going along with this one on September 12th to Council. Our zoning code has a specific code section that lists the prohibited home occupation uses. And the text amendment before EPC tonight would add the language here to effectuate the direction that Council provided our office back in October of 2022. And the specific language we drafted was intended to capture those activities that firearm dealers may engage in a retail or commercial capacity. And I want to clarify that commercial storage or commercial bailment of firearms or ammunition is intended to mean the storage or warehousing of firearms or ammunition only. The neighboring cities of Palo Alto, San Jose, Morgan Hill, and Campbell have similar prohibitions on home occupations. And with that, we do recommend that the EPC recommend the City Council adopt an ordinance of the City of Mountain View amending Chapter 36 of the Mountain View City Code to add firearms and ammunition retailing as a prohibited home occupation use. And I'm happy to answer any questions that the EPC or members of the public may have. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll open it up to EPC questions first. Do I have any questions from the Commission? First up is Commissioner Gutierrez.
Hi, welcome back, everybody. So I have 2 quick questions. For the amendment language itself, I thought I had read somewhere where there was like a distance that was being discussed in terms of how far away these locations would be from public schools. And I wanted to confirm, was it 250 feet away from schools?
Yes, there is a separate locational requirement that's going to be part of the ordinance that goes to council. It is a 250-foot restriction from parks, schools, and daycares.
And so my second question would be, why 250, not more?
That was a discussion that council had during its study session. All the council members did decide that 250 feet was appropriate. It was also in alignment with 2 other neighboring cities that have the same distance requirement.
Okay, so my follow-up to that is, I would like to see it. I know City Council's perspective on this is 250, but I'd like that to be 500. I bring that up for the EPC's consideration simply because I'd rather err on the side of caution. If it were up to me, it would be a little bit more. If we're not able to do that, I totally understand, but I'd like to at least give voice to that concern because I had a lot of folks call me up and express their dismay of the 250 limit that was agreed to previously by City Council. Thank you.
I was going to just let Sandy state.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to emphasize that that 250-foot limit is in an ordinance that is not before the EPC. It hasn't been agendized for discussion tonight, and it is going immediately to City Council. If members of the public, including members of the EPC, are interested in commenting on that, they can comment directly to the City Council.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Okay, and I'll just reiterate really quickly that, what we're discussing today is just the land use portion of what council is looking at, which is the home occupation and this particular aspect of the firearms ordinance. Okay. Commissioner Nunes, please.
Just a real quick question. What is covered in the word transfer? Like, what is that? Yeah.
So federal firearm dealers, part of their license is that they can be the middleman between purchases. So if someone purchases a firearm from someone else or from the internet, there is a requirement that it filters through a firearm dealer and they hold it during that waiting period where there's a background check done and all the other regulatory requirements are met. So they hold it and then transfer it to the person who's purchasing that firearm. So that's intended, that's what the transfer is intended to include.
And I guess, is it possible or likely, like, basically, is that word specific enough to cover, like, the intended behavior or outcome and not, like, capture anything outside of that, I guess? Is that sufficient?
We feel confident that that language, including the commercial storage and commercial bailment language, covers what you intend. Basically, we believe it's comprehensive. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Commissioner Clark.
And I know you mentioned that this was based, in part on, or neighboring cities have something similar. I was just curious if there's some case law around this too, and if any of the constitutionality, all of this is sort of filtered up either at the state or federal level.
There is, I would say, there is strong case law supporting a city's ability for regulating its land uses. Yes, and so I think that we have a strong footing on being able to do this.
Okay, so we aren't going to be the first to
Oh, a lot of.
We wouldn't be. Sorry, we would. Okay, that's helpful. Is at least the land use aspects.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Haymeyer, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to understand a little bit about timelines since the study session was last October. Can you walk me through why this would take roughly a year to make such a small change? Is it the research, the analysis? Is it just a lot of workload from other items?
Yeah, for context, EPC is only seeing a small piece of it. The bigger framework is going to council, and that's a bigger piece. And so I think it took time, and then also just the workload, and priority setting with council. So I think there was it's a bigger project than it may look like in front of EPC.
Understand. We're just saying a small slice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
One more speaker, actually. Vice Chair Dempsey, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. City Attorney, just a quick point of definitional clarification. If you could unpack, and this is more for, I think, for the public's understanding, what bailment is and isn't, because there's some activities that kind of fall under gunsmithing that it sounds like may not be covered by this, and I think it's just good to get that out there so everybody knows what this does and does not cover.
So for purposes of this ordinance, commercial bailment specifically is intended to only capture and essentially someone storing or warehousing the firearms or ammunition, so holding it for another person or another entity, or even for a person themselves, like storing firearms or ammunition for their own business in their homes. It does not include, or it's not intended to include, the assembly, repair, or maintenance of firearms, those typical gunsmithing activities. So that is not included in this definition.
And I believe I had asked you previously if those businesses were notified. Would you mind just clarifying what outreach has been made? Thanks.
Yes, we sent emails to all of firearm dealers within the city that have current business licenses, including those who are currently operated within their homes. I believe in the study report, or one of the study session reports, we put that there's 5. One of them has since gone out of business, so there's really 4 currently operating firearm dealers within the city.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other questions? Yes, Commissioner Gutierrez.
Yes, that reminded me of storage in terms of the firearms in homes. So they can either store it in the business or at their home.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
Who's storing the firearms?
So this would preclude the commercial storage of firearms within someone's home. So somebody being paid to store firearms within their home. Or it could be someone who owns the home, but they're also storing the firearms that they have for a business in their home. So that's what would be precluded by the language.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you.
There are no more questions, then we'll take public comment. If anyone in attendance would like to provide comments on this item, please fill out a yellow speaker card and provide it to the EPC clerk. If anyone on Zoom would like to provide comment on this item, please click the raise hand button in Zoom or press *9 on your phone. Phone users can mute and unmute themselves with *6.
No, we don't have any speakers.
Okay, thank you very much. And so we'll move on to EPC deliberation and action. Any discussion points any of the commissioners would like to make? Or any motions to be made?
I'll move the staff recommendation.
Thank you. Seconded by Commissioner Cranston. We can go ahead and take a vote. I will also let you know that Vice Chair Dempsey's computer is not working. We may have to do a different method.
Why don't we just take a roll call vote verbally?
So, Commissioner Clark,
Aye.
Commissioner Cranston,
Aye.
Commissioner Gutierrez, Commissioner Haymeyer,
Aye.
Commissioner Nunes,
Aye.
Vice Chair Dempsey,
Aye.
and Chair Yin.
Aye.
Motion passed with 6-1.
Thank you very much. And now we'll move on to new business. Item 6.1, the EPC work plan. We'll have a staff presentation from Diana Pencioli, the principal planner.
Thank you, Madam Chair and EPC Commission. Diana Pencioli, Principal Planner. And what I have in front of you tonight is a new business item for the EPC work plan for the fiscal year of 2023 and 2024. As mentioned in the staff report, earlier this year in June, City Council adopted their 2-year work plan for fiscal year 2023 to 2025. And Environmental Planning Commission is an advisory body to the City Council. Will be reviewing their work plan. They'll be then reviewed and sent to City Council for their review as well. So that's what staff is presenting to you tonight. Staff has actually updated the work plan that EPC had for the fiscal year of 2022 and 2023 and have aligned the items and updated some of the items to be in line with the City Council goals and the strategic priorities. So some of the key features of the proposed work plan, there are 2 items which have been added, specifically the Moffett Precise Plan and the Downtown Precise Plan Update 2. And then we also have the 2 of the items, which are the R3 zoning update and the historic ordinance update, which are actually continued from the previous work plan. So the draft work plan is for your review tonight, and staff is recommending that we review and submit this to the City Council for their approval as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now begin EPC questions, if anyone has any questions. Commissioner Cranston.
I guess a clarification, excuse me. The work plan says 23, 24, but there are items in here that go into 25. Are something that would, so this is just for 12 months. Anything that would go outside of that, we would pick up next year's?
That is correct.
And so that would imply to me that items in the housing element that were for delivery in late 24 and early 25, staff does not believe that those would require any action during this particular work plan cycle.
So I'll use an example to answer that question. Moffett Precise Plan is one of the items which have been coming out of the housing element, and there will be several key milestones as part of that project. Outreach and the study sessions will happen in 2023 and 2024, and we are anticipating that the adoption will actually happen in 2025. So we are still showing some of those items, and it will be coming back to the EPC for review and discussion as part of the study sessions.
I guess more specifically in the housing element, a couple of the items that were due in the end of 2024, including 1.1, the zoning ordinance updates to be consistent with state laws, elimination of minimum parking standards for residential transit-oriented and affordable housing developments, and religious community assembly sites are scheduled to be completed by the end of 2024. By not having those included in here, it would imply to me that staff doesn't believe that any action will be required on those items in order to accomplish them by the end of 2024.
Thank you for that specific question. We do have included a line item under bullet point D, where we are talking about a minor cleanup amendments of codes and precise plan for the housing element implementation. Because there are so many items underneath that one particular housing element topic itself, that's why we have not listed them out individually. And because the time frame kind of, they have different timelines as well, that's why it's noted as needed.
And then last question. I would probably be okay with that language if the word minor was struck. What does minor mean to staff? Because I don't view those items as minor. So that's my concern is that means something other than these things. So.
Good, thanks. Thank you, Commissioner Cranston. Eric Anderson, Advanced Planning Manager. So the intent of the word minor there is to take into account actions for which the council is not making significant policy decisions. So those are, either they may not be minor, like there may be state law that we need to implement that may not be minor, but because the council isn't making, it doesn't have significant policy discretion, it's usually brought forward as a minor code amendment with limited council discussion or discretion. Similar with the housing element items, the decision has been made and has been adopted in the housing element to take those actions, and so that's why they're considered minor at this point.
Thanks.
That was the last question. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Nunez.
For some, yeah, I guess it's kind of similar in regards to the 2025 thing, but I guess I'm just curious, like what the likelihood is, just depending on council, like I guess, like, is this, you know, like concrete, we're going to be doing this so far from what we can tell already, or is it still subject to like things being pushed out by council, like, you know, decisions, delays, what have you, in particular, like the R3, is that something that is like squishy? I guess, you know, to what extent are we clear on like these being pretty firm dates?
Turns on for me automatically. I'm not used to that. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Nunez. So there is some flex in those dates. However, for R3 in particular, we this goes back to the housing element. There are a lot of housing element implementation items that are most effectively and efficiently achieved through the R3 project or in tandem with the R3 project. And many of those have a deadline of the end of 2025. So we don't have a whole lot of flex on it. But there, you know, there is a little bit beyond Q2 2025.
Thank you. Commissioner Haymeyer?
Thanks. Eric, you might be popping up again. But no, sorry, I'm just trying to understand, because my question was also around aligning with the housing element and R3. So it sounds like what you're saying is these are the things concretely that staff are working on in the next 12 months. Concurrently, there will be actions that will be taken by staff, but you're anticipating the end completion date that would show up on a work plan to be in 2025. Is that, like, depending on, like, I don't know, I'm looking at the older version of the work plan, but like some of these things go into Q2, Q3, 2025. Mm-hmm. So is that what you're saying? Like, there's work that's happening. It's not listed on the work plan. We anticipate the completion dates to be in FY25 for bigger things like that will allow us to be in compliance with the housing element that we submitted to the state.
Yeah, so I mean, for example, R3, there's a whole program. I think it's 1.3 or 1.4 that's related to updating multifamily development standards, and so we are going to be working on that in tandem with the R3 project. You know, this is something that we have to bring forward to council to confirm, you know, kind of a rescope for R3, and we're going to be doing that in the next few months. But it's certainly most efficient while we're developing, you know, the R3 standards to be looking at multifamily standards holistically through as part of that program 1.4 of the, or 1.3 or whichever it is of the housing element.
Vice Chair Dempsey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Eric, just a quick point of clarification from you on dark sky, which shows up here as TBD. Is it TBD because we're waiting for a particular piece of information, or is it TBD as in we'll fit it in where we can fit it in?
More the latter. There's a lot of internal coordination that has to happen with that. There's a potential for it to affect building codes and planning codes and potentially even, you know, parks and open space and public works and things like that. So there's a lot of interdepartmental coordination that has to happen. And of course, everybody's, you know, has other priorities right now that they're focusing on. And so it is certainly on the council's work plan, and it's something that we're going to come together to kind of plot out a course for, at some point this year, but it just hasn't happened yet.
Any other questions? I had one quick question. I think in a discussion earlier with Diana, I had asked about the downtown and some other plans that are running in tandem with these. I don't know if you wouldn't mind just listing some of those other projects. And I don't know if some of them may come to the EPC. I know they're not listed here, but you'll have some more background on that.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So we have a couple of city projects going on specifically around downtown. The Transit Center Plan is one of them. Downtown Precise Plan Update Phase 2 and Moffett Precise Plan on the other side of Transit Center is the other one. Then we also have the Economic Vitality Strategy, which is going on, which will have a component of downtown as well, although it's a citywide strategy. And then we also have our PED Mall implementation, which was recently adopted. So that is going to, these are some of the projects which we will be looking at simultaneously and also coordinating with other departments and divisions when we'll be preparing some of our work plan and working on our work plan items.
Okay, thank you. And that was already well known when producing this work plan. So when the Dark Skies ordinance has the TBD, I guess you have sort of an idea of when that will be known in general, considering that that's already folded into all the other projects.
That's correct.
Okay. And I'm sorry, maybe you already answered this. Did you say about when you would know? I know as soon as you know, you'll let us know, but is there a forecast for approximately when you would know?
We have not reached there yet.
All right, thanks. If there are any public comments, we will, you have one more. Sorry. Commissioner Cranston? Yeah.
Just one other question, and I don't know the timeline for the Parks and Rec strategy plan. I kind of assumed that there would end up being land use implications to that. It wasn't mentioned in the kind of the last section where it talks about these, will come up to us at some point. Does the Parks and Rec plan go out to a point that it would be unlikely that anything land use would come to us in the next 12 months?
Our preliminary estimate is, and assumption is that it's very unlikely that it might affect land use. So that's why it has not been listed in here. Whereas biodiversity strategy, we definitely think there will be a land use component to that.
If there are no other questions, then we'll move to public comment. If anyone in attendance would like to provide comments on this item, please fill out a yellow speaker card and provide it to the EPC clerk. If anyone on Zoom would like to provide comment on this item, please click the raise hand button in Zoom or press *9 on your phone. Phone users can mute and unmute themselves with *6.
We don't have any speakers.
Thank you so much. Okay, now we'll go to EPC deliberation and action. Would anyone like to? Yes. Commissioner Haymeyer.
I guess I would just say, because I'm terming out very soon, but as this work plan evolves, I think it would be helpful for the commission to have periodic updates of what we've said in the housing element and what we've said in our work plan so that we're just keeping abreast of some of these things that have longer time horizons.
Okay. Yes. Commissioner Cranston.
Minor doesn't mean it's not going to happen, right? Because I don't like the word minor in D. Cleanup. If it didn't have the word minor, I would be happier. Right now it says minor cleanup amendments of code and precise plan, including some minor housing element limitations. If it just said cleanup amendments of codes, it just, minor feels like unimportant, and that's my issue. These cleanups are not unimportant, but it's just a semantic. I will defer to my city attorney if she believes that minor doesn't mean unimportant.
You might say minor or cleanup items. So we know for certain there is a cleanup ordinance coming forward in the next few months to EPC and then to council. And some address state law, some items will address state law, some you will actually consider them to be minor. So yeah, minor doesn't, I think you can say clean, you can consider that to mean cleanup or minor. And many items will happen.
Okay.
All right. Oh, Commissioner Clark.
Yeah, I was just going to say there's also, I think we didn't talk about B in that section, which is, I think, the broader bucket of stuff that isn't minor. So general plan, precise plan, and zoning map amendments more broadly. So I think anything that wouldn't necessarily be considered a minor or cleanup would probably fall within subsection B of the ongoing work items. I'll go ahead and move the staff recommendation, which is that we submit the fiscal year 23-24 EPC work plan to the City Council for approval.
Do we have a second? Commissioner Cranston, thank you. All right, we will go ahead and take a vote if there are no other comments to be made. Okay. And we'll probably have to do roll call again. I don't think the computer is rebooted.
Commissioner Clark,
Aye.
Commissioner Cranston,
Aye.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yay.
Commissioner Haymeyer,
Aye.
Commissioner Nunes,
Aye.
Vice Chair Dempsey,
Aye.
and Chair Yin.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. That concludes our new business, and we will move to agenda item 7, commission staff announcements, updates, requests, and committee reports. No action will be taken at this time no action will be taken at this time. Does anyone have any announcements? You want to go first? Commissioner Gutierrez? You're okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just notified that when we did the first vote, my speaker wasn't on, so I just wanted to let the public know that I had voted no on the first item in terms of the amendment. Thank you.
So noted.
Okay, so I have just a few announcements and some reminders as well. So city's Parks and Recreation Strategic Plan. As part of that, we're going to be conducting 4 community meetings on August 21st and 22nd. Some of the meetings are going to be in person and some of them are going to be virtual. So advisory body members are invited to participate in that. And in order to avoid any kind of Brown Act violation, we recommend, if you can just let us know ahead of time if you're planning to or interested in participating, which day. I think our EPC chair is going to attend the meeting for sure, but it's also the invitation is to the whole commission.
You can let us know if, because I sent, I would like to go, you can let us know if there's a problem with that.
We don't have a problem yet, so.
Okay, thank you. I believe, Diana, you
Yeah, a couple
had
more.
another.
The other one is we're going to have our annual celebration of service on September 19th at the community center. So just a reminder about that. And then I think as part of one of our meetings with EPC chair, there was a request to provide an update on the transit center master plan, where the project is, what are we doing. So the project is currently under the final design phase, and the construction will begin as early as July of 2024 and is expected to continue through the December of 2026. And staff will bring occasional updates as and when we make more progress with the project, the design, and the implementation of it. We do have a dedicated webpage on our website for the particular project itself, which has all the updates and more recent design renderings and design-related information as well. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the only other item would be that the EPC meeting on September 6th is canceled.
That's correct. So the EPC meeting for September 6th has been canceled. So we will not have a meeting on September 6th.
Oh, One more question from Commissioner Cranston.
Yeah, I brought it up the last couple of times, but the last report was that there were 5 builder's remedy projects. In the report that was published on August by staff, only 4 of them show up.
That's correct, because till the project is an informal application, we do not publish that information because that's still in flux and it's still being figured out. Once the project has a formal application has been submitted, at that point of time, it will be added to the development project update. We're still waiting for that.
Commissioner Gutierrez, you had another?
Yes. September 6th, it's been canceled. I was looking forward to that date. Any chance we can use that date for the retreat? Just saying.
We will bring back pretty soon some updates on the retreat, but unfortunately not at September 6th meeting.
Commissioner Haymeyer.
Just a quick PSA for anyone who's listening on YouTube or Zoom. Applications for an open spot on the Planning Commission close on September 21st. I would love to have a great applicant pool.
Thank you. Okay, if there are no others, I think we will adjourn this meeting. I believe it is 7. Oh, wow. 7:30. Okay, I had to do a double take. Okay, 7:30.